The next principle we're going to be covering is communication, or good communicators. The art of communication is truly the language of leadership. We speak with direction and ask clarifying questions. In the past, when we were speaking about some of our other principles, we talked about the concept of being curious. We can relate that to the principle of being a good communicator as well. As we just discussed, to ask a clarifying question. So what is a clarifying question? When having a conversation with someone, and in the conversation, there may be things that we agree with and things that we disagree with. Imagine if we went back into that curious space and asked questions instead of disagreeing. What an amazing way to communicate. It keeps a conversation going. It gives both parties equal footing and the ability to truly understand what one another is saying to each other. And that is communication. So we speak about communication and call it the language of leadership. And that's how leaders communicate. Another aspect of communication is the concept of honoring commitments and providing regular feedback, acknowledgement, and appreciation. So before I go into that, let's talk about leadership, or lead. Learn, engage, appreciate, and decide. So it's interesting how a principle around communication can bring the concept of appreciation. By communicating correctly, we can communicate appreciation, communicate gratitude, providing meaningful acknowledgement and gratitude. But the concept of honoring commitments is something I would like to elaborate on. Honoring commitments. When we make agreements with one another, what we're doing is we're committing to something. Mutual agreements is when we both agree on something and we agree on the terms. So how do we honor those commitments we make with one another? Through communication. We honor those agreements by either delivering on the commitment that we made or communicating with one another, saying, hey, I know I made this commitment, or we had this commitment, or we had this agreement, but for whatever the circumstances, as things happen in our daily lives, sometimes we can't honor the commitment that we made. If we communicate with one another and say, I'm not going to be able to honor that commitment in that time frame, for example, that's communication, and that's perfectly okay. Honoring commitments by having ongoing communication with one another is one of the best ways that we can lead using this principle as good communicators. As we continue to review our leadership principles that make up the L&R way and continue to strive for the ultimate goal of being designers of the ultimate shopping experience for our customer's customer, using this amazing principle of good communicators will allow us to deliver on our commitments, to acknowledge one another, and to show and communicate true gratitude. Thank you.